Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of the Moto America GP Bikes League. Now, today we have a small bit of a different plan of action due to that the track today we were supposed to be racing at was Road Atlanta. Now, there was a small issue with the start-finish straight. Basically, the start line was like invisible, so if you rolled over it slowly, you could fall through it. Unfortunately, the grid spots towards back were more than likely going to fall through the map at start. So we were told to postpone that and to basically we're going to go to another track. We'll come back when that one has been patched and fixed. But for now, today, we're off to Barber Motorsport track in Alabama. So a really hilly track, a really crazy track, and something's going to be very interesting to race in today's video. You'll see on screen now, I finally have my full livery. I have my personal leathers on, my helmet has its own logo, my YouTube name on it. Beautiful bit of kit by KT Lemon, so absolutely massive shout out to him in regards to that. Now we're going to jump straight into qualifying. Now, I didn't have the best run up to the session with the kind of way I had my practice session. We've 30 minutes before qualifying. Unfortunately, I missed most because I was doing things around the house and just getting set up, so I only did a handful of laps of practice. And I was in the mid 27s, and my outright race pace is kind of low 26s is what I was doing in practice. So coming in here, I wasn't really, I wasn't on a good run of laps. I didn't have much momentum, but thankfully we do end up getting a good lap in. This is about just under halfway through the session on our third lap, going right out to the white line there, using all of the track. Lucky not to crash into this very snaky section. It is such a very difficult track. Not only is it a hard layout, it's really flowing, but also there's lots of elevation. It's bumpy, the track surface isn't the best, the curbs are at an angle, and then you have this crazy section here. We go down into like a reverse corkscrew, then it goes back uphill, but just here in this dip, the bike easily can G out and you can crash. Now, thankfully we made it through there cleanly that lap, and unfortunately that guy crashed, but into this last sector, it's so difficult to get this one right because you can overlean and just crash for no reason, just carrying too much lean. But out of this corner here, we're on for a mid 25. My PB was a 25.2 on all my practice, and we do a 25.5, which is a pretty crazy lap time for me, but I'm only P8. I'm so far down. The likes of Biker put in a stunning 25.3. KT Lemon did not realise he had that sort of pace, 25.3. Azrael Yellow, Luke Coyd Rock, Gargering, he's a new rider who's filled in for someone else. He's now a full-time rider. He is stupidly quick. And the usual Dannies are there, but my goodness. P8 after that lap time, I was kind of sitting there thinking to myself that I'm in big trouble here. And I wasn't very confident coming into this race. So we had all the work to do as we went to the sighting lap. I'm here just at the end of the sighting lap with KT Lemon. So we full sighting lap and warm-up lap. It is a full race system. We get to roll up to our grid slot, which sounds fun, but it's actually quite stressful. If you don't stop in the right position, you can get disqualified, and it is so hard to control these bikes at low speed. You can see how much I'm waving and moving and stuff. We jump now to the start of the warm-up lap, and you'll see I do the Casey Stoner strat. I have a quick look over my shoulder, I leave everyone go. You can see we have 4 minutes to complete the warm-up lap. The track temperature was slightly up, and I was not feeling the best with the tyres. They were slightly... I'm not sure if the tyres were the issue with the track temperature, but I had very little rear grip. So I wanted to do a practice start straight away, so that was that one. Absolutely terrible practice start. Wasn't very happy at all with it, but I got my eye in for the race when I knew that I'd have a better opportunity at it. So I thought if I hang back, had a fast warm-up lap, I'd end up with a better tyre situation for the start. I'm going to shut up just about now and listen to this orgasm of the bikes coming down the opposite side of the straight. At the start of the race, I remember listening to that and I was just like, oh my god, that sounded so good. I hope it comes across on YouTube as well as it did for me in the evening. Now, I'm really getting the temperature into the tyres there, braking hard, spinning up, getting to the grid. Now I've wasted so much time just to kill a bit of time. Back brake again. You can see Savani as well doing the same thing, really working the tyres at low speed. Everyone being held up waiting for the two of us. I trundled my way into my grid slot. You can see how tricky it is. We actually end up small bit wide and behind, so we just creep forward and we get pretty nicely in, and we're slightly to the left. So It is critical now today we do not crash. That is the main goal for today's race. If anything else happens, I'll be okay, but once we don't crash of our own accord, I'll be happy. You can see now, just waiting for the warm-up lap to kind of complete and for the game to register that everyone is here, and we are on the grid. We're not really in the best of mental states considering the start of qualifying and the sessions and how far down the grid we are, but we get a good initial launch up to second, up to third, rise in front, spinning up. Biker moves massively across into the inside. We take a very gingerly. Gargling has a big moment to my right. We'll just have a quick look inside to make sure that he is not really close to me. Again, I think that's Keaty Lemon forcing him a touch wide, which just kind of relieves the pressure on me. And we get a great little run up this hill here on bike. We just go to the outside. Will we have a look into this tight left hand? Yes, we do. We just match him. We level him on the brakes. Just leave the brakes off. We actually broke quite early. You can see him very gingerly into turn 4 or 5, I think it is. Out of here, I was having lots of issues with traction throughout all the practice. My Kawasaki, unfortunately, suffers an inherent lack of rear grip. Now you'll see here, big mistake by me, get in hot, get sideways on the grass, but we got away with it for now. So at this point now we're in P5, I believe, so up a good few positions. I didn't know what people's race pace was really like, considering that I was so shocked by people's one-off laps. Biker right on my tail. He is showing some ridiculous pace this weekend. He is a good bit quicker than me at the moment, and to be honest, I didn't really have any feeling at the start of this race. The bike felt heavy. I had so much chatter and so much lack of grip on entry to the corners, which was my biggest thing in the race. And like I said, I was consistently doing low 26s, low to mid 26s, or 26.4 or 5 was my race pace in practice. I could do them consistently. But in the race, I don't know what came over me, but you'll see me into turn 1 here. You can just see the rear end just kind of jumping around a bit. You'll see it more when the race goes on, when I start to get up to a bit more speed, that the rear tyre just does not have any grip. But that's 2 riders gone off front, which means we are currently in P3. So we're actually in the podium positions for probably the first time this year, which is hard to believe. So at this point in the race now, I actually don't even realise I'm in this point in the race that I'm in P3. I was just focusing so much on making best possible start. You can see that was Gargling, one of the fast guys, got a bad start, went backwards, and then unfortunately made a move on Biker and unfortunately ran into the gravel and crashed. Now we come into this tricky downhill right-hander that goes now over the curb and then back into a hairpin. Real tricky corner there. Another green flag. Someone also has binned it there. I reckon it wasn't Reese, thankfully for him. But at the moment I'm just putting a small gap with him. I started to feel a bit better, starting to get my pace back, but again through there, bike just did not turn at all, and I reckon Reese took a couple of tenths out of me. This sector here, he is so good, whether it's him or Suzuki, I don't know, but he carries so much entry speed. He gets more lean than me and he just does it more consistent. You can see how much of the track I'm using, probably touched the grass there on his screen, and we are really struggling for pace at this point in the race. And I wasn't really sure what exactly it was. Was it track temperature? Was it me being tense? Or some alternative factor that I haven't thought of yet? But at the moment, I look to be holding up Reese behind me on the Gixxer. And into turn 1, we try and just hold him off the brakes. We do for now, but he's sitting right there. And at any moment, I reckon there could be an onslaught and an attack from behind. You see here now, he goes to me inside. He doesn't actually go for the pass, but there is contact. I sit up. In fairness to him, very good raceman's craft. He does leave me the position back. There was just kind of a converging of lines that we've just touched, but a fair play to him. He just sat up and let me have the position back. But unfortunately, I was looking behind me coming into the braking zone, and that is one of the fast boys up underneath Reese, who lost the run after the collision with me. I also went deep, so I've let myself a bit open to Savannah behind, probably one of the quickest guys on GP bikes. So at this point I knew it was only a matter of time before that Gixxer 1000 flies up me inside, and at the moment you can see how close he is. The red arrow points towards the back of me. He's just right there. And watch this now, he comes in here so much quicker than me, and you'll see in a second, he does me around the outside. He has so much confidence, and like, I'm braking on my limit. Look at that, he just makes me look like I am on a parade lap. Reese also has a look at getting through. That's actually not even Reese. Reese is further back. That's another one. You see I get a great run out of there that time, and that's Savannah now behind me. So it's, the guys have really similar names, so I make a big mistake here. When he comes through, I kind of sat up, and then I end up leaving Reese nearly through. At this point, he's tipping in. I didn't want another collision, so I left him at it. Reese had a lot more pace than me. I needed to figure out where my pace was and why I was so slow, so I leave Reese go and plan to just follow. You can see how much the rear is pumping into turn 1. 28.5 that lap. Like, that is so slow for me compared. That's 2 seconds off in race trim. And I'm not really sure why. I didn't feel particularly bad, but I just felt very on edge. And again, out of here, we get a great one on Reese. We look to the inside, but we just don't bother going to the move because he has extra pace over me. There's no point really kind of holding him up for the sake of it. One of the Suzuki's in front, I think it was not, it was the Vanny. I think it just made a mistake, got on the inside curb and touched a bit of the grass. But for now, for me now, I just wanted to try and understand what the bike was doing. So I tried to just stick with these boys. These are some of the quickest guys in this league. So right now I drop back to 4th, 5th, 6th position at the moment. So only up 2 positions for where I'm qualified. And I knew that even with Gargaring's mistake, he would be back and we had to stay on. Reese makes a mistake there and he jumps off the curb, loses drive. We go for it on the outside and back into P5 for now. And the 2 boys in front on the Suzuki's are just showing ridiculous pace. I know I won't be able to go with them. So at this point, my race really, it was just with Reese and with myself really trying to get into a rhythm, because even the 28.5, I'm still not over that at the moment. I'm still doing such a slow lap that I'm in the 28s, believe it or not. So I don't really understand why so early I was in such a slow pace. But we go a bit defensive into turn 1. It actually kind of counteracts because I just can't tip in or miss the apex. And that leaves Reese right on the back of me again. So struggling at the moment for edge grip on the corner entry was my biggest thing. Not really, I still don't really understand why the track was slightly hotter than most of the practice sessions I did. Yellow flag behind, there wasn't Reese. Not sure who that would have been. But at the moment now, again, you can see my sector times are slow. There's another rider off in front. It is the R1 of Lucoid Rock. So that is P4 in front of me, but he has serious pace as well. So even though he crashed, I wasn't really thinking that I could get to jump with him. To be honest, I didn't really have the confidence in myself at this moment. You can see a small mistake again there. I get dragged in a bit deep. And we're just really battling ourselves here. I'm actually again holding Reese up, even though he made that mistake. So I do expect him to come through. We missed that apex by a mile. Touched that curb a small bit. We're a bit wide again, really high on that curb. And just, even with the fuel load coming down, nothing starting to go in my way. I'm just really on edge. You can see there, nearly losing the front, out onto the grass then as well. So I'm really having a tough time here, and I'm really hampering Reese's pace behind. We're just about sticking with Lucoid Rock. Bit of a mistake into that corner there. Unfortunately, he is going to pull the pin though as he gets back up to speed and cleans his tires off. And I'm kind of waiting really for the moment that Reese goes for the pass, because I know he has more pace. I was following him there and I was just about sticking with him. Backing into turn 1, very deep again. It looks like someone else has crashed in front because there seemed to be another bike. Can't see exactly who it is unless it's someone being lapped, but it's quite early in the race to being lapped, so I was pretty sure it wasn't someone being lapped. But he's on the grass there and he pulls to the left, so he definitely is being lapped. I'm not sure who that was, to be honest. One of the Ducatis, I think it was Lopez or Alex Nogueira, is the 2 Ducatis in the league. Reese goes a touch deep, gives me a bit of breathing room. 27.3 lap time round. Again, not really anything special, like nothing to be writing home about. So I was really trying at this point to find some pace, and we make a big mistake there. I go across the grass and I kind of lock the front, release the brake and go wide. And at this point now, Reese just has the momentum and he was going to tip across the minute, so I just said I'll leave him go. I felt better when I had him in front of me, just someone to have a wheel in front of me to follow. So at this point now, again, I was like, well, I'm not quicker than him. If he has more pace, I might as well leave him use it and see can I go with him, because I'm basically forcing him to stick behind me at the moment by my slow pace. So my thinking was, if he goes away, I can maybe chase after him and dig in deep. And it kind of works because we're slightly under on this lap round, and it does turn out that in the next couple of laps with him in front of me, I do set my fastest laps of the race. I'm starting to learn actually that my last sector, my line isn't the best. You see, look how much he takes out of me out of the last corner, because his line is so good. The Suzuki does have a bit more power and mid power grunt really, and he just gets out of the corner brilliantly and he just leaps away. But through here, turn 2, 3 and 4, I'm just a bit stronger. He has a bit of a moment, touch wide, and we get a good run, but we're still nowhere near close enough to him at the moment. For now, the run really into that corner was the only place I could probably make a pass. I wasn't confident enough anywhere else on the brake. The lack of rear grip was really throwing me off. Even in here on lap 1, that really caught me out. I wasn't sure whether it was tyre attempts from the slow warm-up laps, the sighting laps, or whether it was anything else at all. But for now, just sticking with Reese. I don't feel too bad at the moment. My pace still isn't great. We're probably going to set our first 26 this lap, as Reese is really sending the envelope on a bit. He looks so smooth through there ahead of me. We make so much time. He just gets on top of the curb. I actually follow him. One of us touches the dust. And a yellow flag again in front. So is someone else off or is another lapper? It's hard to tell, because the max HUD timing thing is never really accurate, especially with the lap rider. So every time you see yellow flag, you're kind of thinking, oh, is that a position or is it someone I need to be careful of? But again, we're all starting to punch back up. It looks like Reese has some silly pace here in this race. He's really pulling up to the back of the R1 of, I think it is Luke Rock in front of him. Come out of the final corner. I set my personal best of the race at 26.2. I believe that is the quickest lap of my race. You can see I get massively deep into turn 1 after it, so it would suggest that that was my fastest lap, and a small mistake into turn 1 again just gave Reese a small gap. And that is one of the leaders actually gone down. I believe it is Luke Rock again. That's his second crash of the race. So we're currently in a net P5, I believe, from everyone's crashing. So far I was actually pretty content. I was in touch with Reese, whose pace was just a bit out of reach for me. I hadn't crashed, I hadn't made many mistakes, I just wasn't feeling comfortable. So my main goal from here on was just to keep him in kind of a second or two range, and maybe towards the end of the race, if the tires started to come to me and the tire wear wasn't too bad, the fuel load went down, maybe I'd have something for him. But at this point in time, you can see he's just starting to pull me now. He's starting to pull away. I believe this lap is his fastest lap of the race, so he's really starting to motor now, and I just don't have the pace to go with him. So at this moment I was thinking P5, P6, whatever we're in at the moment is probably my ceiling. And considering the pace people had in the qualifying session, one lap pace was shockingly quick. I was unexpecting a couple of them people to be that quick, but for now, again, mistaken there, just take the wrong line. I just don't have the confidence in this Kawasaki around here. I'm starting to learn that the Kawasaki has flaws as much as I love it, and I'm not very good at these tracks, these kind of twisty, elevation, windy, one-line tracks. I'm much more of a GP track, like Catalunya, Jerez, kind of them tracks where I'm just, I suppose I've done years of laps around there. But there's another green flag, and I think that was someone behind me who's crashed. Reese again missing the apex of the top little bike quite a bit. We're using all of the track, and we pull a massive gap back him under the brakes. You can see we gained 3/10 on him into that corner alone. And then out of the hair, he's a big slide, starts to pump, he has to roll the throttle. I actually managed to pass him. I didn't, even though he spun up, I didn't believe he would get actually that slow of an exit. But unfortunately here, he just touches the grass on entry, gets out onto the grass like I did, and he is tipped off. So unfortunately Reese, his pace was excellent, but makes one small mistake and it just kills him. And unfortunately we see green flag again in a second here. He remounts, joins back up, and Luke Rock, there, that green flag, that was the two of them colliding on the entry to the first chicane. So unfortunately he crashes again a second time, no fault of his own. But we fast forward now to the penultimate lap, and I'm lapping on my own at low 27s, high 26s. Again, nothing really, there's nothing for me at the moment to chase for. I'm in P4, P3 is way up the road. There is a nice gap back to Manu in P5. So at this point in time, I just thought this is my best result of the season. I haven't crashed yet. I've not run off track bar at the opening lap when I had the cold tire issue. So I just was content now with getting this to the flag, getting a nice chunk of points. My two championship rivals at the moment were Manu and Biker, who were really close to winning the championship. So at the moment I'm headed to two of them. I can't really be too unhappy with the way I performed. It's kind of difficult to understand and to grasp the tire situation around there for whatever reason. Looking back now at my tire temps, they are pretty optimal, so the grip level should have been fine, but whatever reason the setup just didn't work on the day, and I think I was really caught off guard by just how quick some other people are that I weren't expecting. And to be honest, P8 to P4 at the moment, I was pretty happy with that. My goal for the race was a top 5 coming into it. When I was down in P8 in qualifying, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a mammoth task to get such performance. But our good start got us into a nice position. We had some good fortune with a couple of close moments with Reese and a few others, but as the race went on, it started to become more comfortable. I think I relaxed a bit more, and my pace wasn't amazing. So again, 27.2 that lap. So again, at this point in the race, I don't really need to be in the 26s. I don't need to defend from behind. Manu was about 10 seconds back, and even my 27s were probably keeping him at bay at that point. I don't think he was very quick this week. So right now I'm not really pushing. Last lap, you can see him short shifting, being very cautious. Even got a bit of a wheelie too there. It's funny when you actually try to adjust your lines and slow down a bit, you can actually make more mistakes. See, even here on this last lap, that the rear end just does not grip into that corner. Good exit. And we're halfway around the lap now, and I'm pretty much already comfortable and confident that this is going to be my best result. We have a bit of a slide again, so this track is deadly. Like, I was so surprised that we managed to get to lap 14 and P4 without crashing. That was the main goal for the race before we even knew the track last week, after my couple of bad crashes in Texas and a yellow flag ahead. I wasn't sure if it was one of the championship leaders, and it turns out that was Tavella, and that is the Suzuki of Davani Aranio, I believe, which would mean that we are currently in a net P3. Our first podium of the year is a possible. I believe that was him anyway, so I think for now we're on for P3. So I'm kind of coasting. He sounds like he's pushing it mad because he knows that I've just overtaken him, and we gunned it out of this last corner. We have a quick look, hand into the air. We believe we got P3, and we didn't. We got it for about a split second. You'll see here, plus 0.373, 3/10 off of the podium. What exactly happened? We'll see in a split second. So at this point in time, I was so confused because I jumped to P3 when I crossed the line, hence how I missed turn 1. And then I was like, what? And then I did +1 next to my name, and I did not understand it until I scrolled up, and you'll see it there now. Dill 469, time penalty, 1 second for cutting. That moment on lap 1 where I made a mistake into the downhill section, ran wide on the grass, that gave me a 1 second penalty and cost me a bloody podium. Now, because I turned off for the race, I did not realise that I cut the corner. Well, I realised I cut it, but I didn't realise I got a penalty for it, so I was absolutely gutted, to say the least. Now, I was so happy with my performance, but the fact that we ended up P4, only 3/10 back. And you'll see in a second, I saw here now when I finished the race, like 7.5 seconds off the leader. That's not bad considering my pace was terrible. If I had good pace, I could have won this race, is what I thought. Azrael Yellow was surely quicker than that. What actually happened, I thought. We'll get to that in a second. I come home in P4 behind Azrael Yellow, Danny Savani, Dario Andriano, I think his name is. I'm in 4th, Manu 5th. Reese recovers to a good finish of P6, slightly more. He deserved a bit more today for his pace. Bunta comes home P7, 8 for Mystic. Garang rounds out the top 9, and Keithy Lemon the top 10. Now we're going to jump over now, and you're going to see exactly what happened in the last sector. It is absolutely comical. So I'm going to commentate you through it as if I haven't seen it. And Tavella makes a huge mistake here, off the curb, off the bike, last lap. Bikes bounce off the curb, remounts, doesn't look over his shoulder, and he kills Azrael Yellow. I do not believe it. The race leader has been taken up by a back marker. That is surely given the race to Danny Savani. Oh my god, he's done it again. He's done it again. Hat-trick, come on, get the 3 of them, and there we go. So he's taken out the 3 leaders. You'll see in a split second me coming through about now, slightly later. There we go. So if I was closer, I could have won that race because of Tavella's misfortunes in the last corners. Basically, he respawned, didn't look where he's going, probably just last lap of the race. He was already a lap down, I believe. So he was probably just kind of in autopilot at that point, and just a huge mistake from him. And he did apologise. Now, he has penalised himself. He is the host of the league, by the way. He has given himself basically disqualified from this race and starts from the back of the grid next race. So a pretty strict penalty for himself, but which is fair since he took out the 3 leaders. But we move on now to the championship standing. It is Azrael Yellow P2 in round 1, and a brace first and first in round 2 and 3. Nice 70 points. He already has a full race win over Daniel Savani. Look, I'd rock with his 13-20 and retired. I think he might have rage quit after the incident with Reese on lap 7 or 8. Danny Andriano with the wild card again. So I don't know how many races he'll compete in this year. He is in P4, 2 third place for him, so he has serious pace. Me P5, so I jump a couple of points ahead of Manu and Biker. So my best results this season, probably not my best performance. I really had pace in Texas, but made too many mistakes. Manu behind me, again another consistent P5 for him. Reese, unfortunately, not getting any luck in that race and just probably missing out on a podium because his pace was so good he might have been able to challenge him where I didn't. So that is where I'm going to leave it for today's round 3 of the Moto America League. Now, fortunately, we are not racing next weekend. There is a week break, bit of a mid-season break. But when we return, it's just to give our Melandri a bit of an extra time to finish off Road Atlanta. So we will return in 2 weeks' time for Road Atlanta, a really tricky, bumpy, very elevation-heavy track. So it's another one of those tricky tracks. So we'll have to be on point for that one. But after a pretty strong showing here today, my pace wasn't amazing in the race, but we managed to dig deep and pull out a good result out of it. I was really happy towards the end of it. So hoping for more results like this. I just need to understand my pace a bit earlier in the race and might be able to get a bit more out of these races, because I don't think I'm a massive mile off of some of the podium contenders. But for now, it's going to be just trying to develop this Kawasaki a bit more, just trying to understand it with setups and stuff, and maybe towards some of the later rounds I have a few in mind that I think I could get a good result in. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll see you in 2 weeks for more of the Road America League. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, of course, drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to see more content on GP bikes and many other bike games. And I should leave it there for today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.